Somewhere between Phoenix and Tucson, Terry would make a pit stop and let Annie and me call home at a payphone. "Mom, Cousin Terry kidnapped us to take us to her house. It's never too late. And you're not lost or alone."
This Nancy Guthrie case is starting to feel more and more like a movie. Every new detail somehow keeps getting stranger than the last. Megan Kelly has shared an audio clip from Savannah Guthrie's 2024 book, a book that existed before her mother Nancy was taken. In the clip, Savannah calmly describes a childhood kidnapping game orchestrated by an older cousin. It involved secrecy, an early morning escape, and even a staged phone call home saying, "Mom, Cousin Terry kidnapped us." She tells the story warmly, almost nostalgically. Now, fast forward to the present. Nancy Guthrie has actually been kidnapped. The audio existed before this happened. Same theme, same family, same city. At what point does coincidence stop being a coincidence?
Savannah's book, which was released in February of 2024, discussed a game she used to play as a kid with her cousin, and it was a kidnapping game involving Nancy. So we pulled the audio that Savannah did of her book. In it, you're going to hear her talk about her cousin Terry, who was, she said, like an aunt to her growing up. Terry's 20 years older than Savannah, so Terry would be 74 right now. But listen to this.
About once a year in the summertime, Cousin Terry orchestrated a kidnapping of my sister and me. It went down like this. The cousins would visit for a few days at our house in Tucson, and then, on the morning they were to leave, Terry would wake us up early, shushing us in the pre-dawn darkness as we made our escape. We would all pile into her rickety station wagon and head north, the sky streaking with bright oranges and pinks as the sun rose over the colorless desert landscape. Somewhere between Phoenix and Tucson, Terry would make a pit stop and let Annie and me call home at a payphone. "Mom, Cousin Terry kidnapped us to take us to her house." My mother would feign shock, protest how terribly she would miss us, then assure us she'd drive up to retrieve us in a few days.
Meanwhile, Savannah posts a strange Instagram video, sitting on the grass, speaking calmly into her phone. It's been 2 weeks since her mother was taken. She's not addressing the public. She's addressing someone specific. Whoever has her or knows where she is, you're not lost or alone. It's never too late to do the right thing. That's not a casual update. That's a direct message delivered deliberately in the open. Why does it sound like she believes the person responsible is watching?
I wanted to come on and, it's been 2 weeks since our mom was taken, and I just wanted to come on and say that we still have hope, and we still believe. And I wanted to say to whoever has her or knows where she is, that it's never too late. And you're not lost or alone. And it is never too late to do the right thing. And we are here. And we believe. And we believe in the essential goodness of every human being. And it's never too late.
Then it gets strange. He doesn't know Nancy Guthrie, so why does the sheriff look personally shattered? Not the family, not the spokesperson, the sheriff, Chris Nanos. And it hasn't happened only once, it's happened repeatedly. For someone who didn't personally know the missing person, the intensity has stood out to viewers. Some see compassion, Some see the weight of responsibility. Some don't know what to make of it. High-profile cases affect people differently, but many are asking why he appears to be so personally affected. What does his emotion tell you?
What gives you hope that Nancy is still out there?
Wow. You have to have hope. You have to have hope. You can't, come on, this is somebody's mom. We're going to find her.
Do you believe you are still looking for Nancy Guthrie alive at this point, that she could be held somewhere? And if so, do you believe that is local in the Tucson area or that she's been taken somewhere much further at this point?
We're just not going to give up hope. We hope she's out there somewhere.
So you still believe this is an active rescue mission at this point?
We hope so. An 84-year-old woman disappeared on us. That's a challenge for us, and it's something we just want her back.
Yeah, we all do. We all do, Sheriff. I know you've been in contact with Savannah, who we know is in Tucson. What is your message to her and the Guthrie family and all the viewers who care so much about Savannah?
We're not going to give up. We'll get this. I'm blessed. I have a team that is, look, they'll solve this. I know they will.
Sheriff, we thank you for your time. I know you're busy, and I'm going to be praying that you find Nancy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
People are also asking why the FBI is deploying so many specialized tools in this case. First, they got the doorbell footage that wasn't supposed to exist. Now we have helicopters flying for hours to signal sniff and detect signals from Nancy's Bluetooth pacemaker. And the uncomfortable question keeps coming up. Where are these resources when children go missing every single day in this country?
You've heard about the signal sniffer, the search for Nancy Guthrie's Bluetooth. So we've gone out in a private helicopter with a company called Lear. And Captain Carl here is putting us over her house, and we'll explain how this works. Do you remember when Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker lost contact with her phone at 2:28 a.m.? That's when we believe she left the premise, and that at that point this pacemaker went into low power mode, where every few minutes it would send a ping that just said, "Hey phone, are you there?" That's what they're looking for with the signal sniffer.
Interestingly, it may not even be Kash Patel running the show. In a joint interview, Patel and Dan Bongino openly admit that the decisions they made together were too difficult and usually required approval from the very top. So who's really calling the shots here?
When that decision can't even be made by me, it goes to you. When it doesn't go to you, it goes like to the president's desk. He's dealing with like level 11 decisions. And that's the thing in DC, is that's why the batting average isn't always going to be 1,000. There's no good call to be made or someone else would have made it. There's just really tough decisions where, there's a shit call and a shittier call. And listen, that's what we signed up for. That's how it rolls.
Look, yeah, these are difficult decisions, Dan. That's why you volunteered to jump back in. It wasn't just going to be, hey, we're going to do this job. It's going to be super easy. We're not going to have to make any hard decisions. And we're not going to have to combat a press corps that has largely been biased and full of inaccurate reporting. But we made those decisions collectively in the best interest of the nation. And if we hadn't, then none of this would be true. None of this would be possible.
With ongoing global tensions and uncertainty around the world, it's reasonable to expect a bumpy ride ahead. Kinda feels like there is no end in sight. Look at what happened in Venezuela. Good or bad, it creates more chaos and could be a bumpy ride for a while, and military spending will likely increase under President Trump. We know global conflicts send markets into uncertainty. So why are banks, billionaires, and smart investors buying gold and silver? They must know something we don't. But is it too late to buy? Have you missed the boat? For me, the answer is no. I've spoken to Lear Capital, read their reports and investor guides, and many experts are predicting that both will go higher. These analysts continue to emphasize the importance of diversification and owning solid, tangible assets like gold and silver for the long term. Even Morgan Stanley has changed their 60-40 portfolio strategy to 60-20-20, with 20% in precious metals. And Bank of America is predicting $5,000 gold prices this year. And that's why I decided to partner with Lear and share this opportunity for you to also get you educated and understand how precious metals can help protect and grow your portfolio. Of course, it's great when markets rise, but it's also important to have assets that historically act as a store of value during uncertain times. A lot of people ask, can I diversify my IRA or 401k out of stocks and bonds and move them into gold and silver? The answer is yes, and Lear Capital is the company I trust to do that for me, and they can help you too. It's easy. There's no pressure to buy, just information to help you decide what is right for you and your family. Diversify your retirement account or take possession of your metals shipped directly and securely to you. It's your choice. They're great people to speak with. Just give them a call at 800-480-1100 or go online to learhustle.com. So why Lear? Well, they're a long-standing company, over 28 years of experience, over $3 billion in trusted transactions. They have thousands of 5-star reviews and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau. Oh, and my personal favorite, they are the only company with a 24-hour risk-free purchase guarantee, so you don't pay unless you are 100% satisfied. Don't be fooled by all these pop-up fly-by-night companies. If you're interested in investing in metals, call a company that has been around. This is why I trust Lear, and you can too. Give them a call at 800-480-1100 or go to learhustle.com and download their free information. You'll be glad you did. Oh, and tell them I sent you, and as a new customer, you can get up to $20,000 in bonus gold or silver with a qualified purchase. 800-480-1100.